I can't understand what you're saying, Great Deku Tree. Please close your mouth. Hey guys, I'm gonna chill out with Sub-07 and welcome back to Let's Play The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time 3D. Last time, we geared up with the Deku Shield and the Kokiri Sword on a quest to, well, free the Deku Tree of some sort of curse that's been passed upon him. This time, we head inside him. Time for our first dungeon, inside the Deku Tree. First 3D dungeon of the series. Kinda weird to think about. This is not exactly a very long dungeon, but it's certainly an interesting dungeon. Now this is not a Deku Baba in the same sense as the last one. This one lunges at us. You can cut it quickly to get a Deku Stick, because you press it once and it will back off like that. However, if you choose to instead let it lunge at you more, you can eventually... Oh wait, no, I'm thinking of a different version of these, darn. Regardless, Deku Babas, not exactly hard enemies, and sometimes they even drop nuts. Deku nuts. Tap on the lower screen to open the item sub screen, and then set them to... Set them and try throwing one to stun and flash enemies. Don't seem like the most useful weapons in the world, but you'd be surprised. It's a kind of effective tool if you're not good at combat. In fact, let's open the menu right here so we can get a good feel of our inventory. You can set things to X or Y, which is quite nice. In the original N64 version, you had to pause the game every time, but here, you have a large item subscreen and you can divide things up for multiple spots. Usually it was just things were tied to the C buttons, but here it's, you got more options, which I think is nice. We're gonna set Deku Nuts to X, and we're gonna set Deku Sticks to Y. I think that's a good combination. Alright, now we see that spiderweb on the floor down there. If we can actually jump off, and we'll notice that it bounces slightly, but it doesn't seem to do anything. And Navi got really annoyed by that. Look, look! You can see down the web using eye! So there is something down there. It looks like a pathway. But we can't get down there because we don't have a way to break the web. Look at this wall. The vines growing on it give it a rough surface. Maybe you can climb it. Yes, vine-covered walls you can in fact traverse, which is quite nice. But you gotta be careful because sometimes there's enemies on the walls, so keep that in mind. Also, plants like this, you can just cut them. Sometimes they'll have rupees for you. But more importantly, we got treasure. Oh my goodness, what could it be? 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 You got the dungeon map! Tap this on the lower screen to look at the detailed map, so now we can actually see what's coming up. Blue chambers are places you have already visited. Your current location is the flashing room. Tap floor numbers to select a floor to view. So we can tap the map screen, and we can actually see this is a 5-floor dungeon. Kinda wild, but it's not that many rooms, so it's nothing to really fret about too much. And you'll notice there's squares on the other side of it as well. One for the dungeon map, and 2 other things that we'll be getting into in a bit. For now, though, let's focus on climbing up here. Because we got some enemies. Skull Walchulas. Be careful not to touch it. These things are Skulltulas by just another name. You can throw a Deku Nut at them, and you won't reach them because Link can't throw upwards. He's kind of an idiot. Skull Walchulas, if they see you, they will home in on you after flashing purple, but they will look away from you if you hold still. Case in point. You can use that to your advantage to get around them if you don't want to work with that. Kind of dangerous. Uh-oh. Don't look at me. I'm not here. You don't really see me. I'm a snake. For now, we can just easily get over here at the top. Nice. Now this, on the other hand, this is no skull wall. It's a big Skulltula. Its soft belly is its weak point. Lunge at it, and you can kill it instantly. So jump attacks are extremely good in this game. Keep that in mind. For now, let's head in here. You can open a door by standing in front of it and pressing A. Pay attention to what the action icon says. That's the A button icon on the upper screen. Yeah, we didn't have to worry about doors outside of the Kokiri Forest community, but here we do. Look at that floor is also locked. Got this button that you can walk on, which causes these to lift up. Let's head this way. Easily climb over here, deal with these Deku Babas. Not an issue. Now that timer music that you're hearing in the background actually counted down how much time these platforms had left before they would go back. But for now, we open this. And what do we get? Why, it's the compass! Now you can see the locations of many hidden things in the dungeon. Quite a useful item because it tells you where all the treasure chests are, and it lets you know if you missed anything. which also tells you that there's apparently another chest in this room. That one over there. How do we get that? Well, we got to deal with it. You might also notice the door is still locked, and there's not a key that we can use to get it, but Navi's focusing on this thing. It looks like that torch was burning not too long ago. It's trying to give you a bit of a hint to something that we'll be doing in just a moment, but for now, let's head over this way. Head this way. Go slightly to the left to avoid the Skulltula. Get too close to them and they will spin for damage, so watch out. Get a recovery heart, which is basically a useless treasure. And we get this thing. We can't lock onto it because it doesn't have a targeter. But we can still hit it. Hit it twice. And we can target this thing. Lunge at it. Oh boy. You destroyed a gold Skulltula. You got a token proving you destroyed it. Gold Skulltulas are our big collectibles for this game. If you ever played Breath of the Wild, think of them as the Koroks of this game. And if you did play Breath of the Wild, good news, there's not 900 of these stupid things. There's 800. And we're going to be getting all of them, because I'm crazy. Gold Skulltulas are scattered all over the world, including inside of dungeons, in the overworld, and all kinds of places. But hopefully, they won't be too big of a hassle, because we're going to be trying to show off every way to get them. Deku Stick, light it on fire using the torch, and you can actually run over here and light that, which opens the way to get us out of here. Now, something that you might think, okay, well, we got the compass, we got the map. I assume we can just move on, right? Like, we can just drop down? Well, we could, but there's actually something else that we should have gotten first. I came up here basically just to screw with people. You can actually do a lunge and grab to slightly position yourself differently when you're falling. It can be useful for saving yourself in a weird jump. Let's jump over this way. Because you want to head in here. Here we have Deku Scrubs. What a scrub. It will hide in the grass if you get too close to it. Bounce the nuts and spit back at it. Now, how do you bounce them? Block with your shield. And now it'll run for cover. But if you get close enough to it... Oops. Botched it. Let's try this again. Back off, you. Yeah, you gotta get close to it and touch it. Ow, ow, ow. Forgive me, master. If I give you a tip, will you let me go? When you jump off a high cliff, if you hold forward, you'll roll on the ground when you land and won't get hurt from the fall. I can't guarantee it'll work, though, if the cliff is really, really high. Well, try if you're feeling bold. Wahaha! Yeah, high enough cliffs, it doesn't matter how much you try and dodge roll, you'll still take damage. Don't break your kneecaps, kids. Regardless, now we got this big platform that we can get onto, but it's shaking. So much for that platform. But we got another big chest. Typically speaking, you'll see 3 big chests per dungeon, and one will have the map, one will have the compass, and one will have your dungeon item. In this case, the fairy slingshot. Tap gear on the lower screen to open the item sub. Oh no, that's the item tab, and set it to I, X, Y, or II. You can take it out, and you can hold or load a Deku seed, aim with the control stick, and then release to fire. If you want to shoot right away when you first use the button, hold it down a little longer to get a seed ready. This is our first ranged weapon. We're gonna switch out the Deku seed. Actually, no, we're gonna switch the Deku. Yeah, Deku nuts. Slingshot is really useful because you go into first person, line up that, and you can fire it, say at the ladder that Navi's focusing on, to knock it down. Ranged attacks are extremely important because in a 3-dimensional space, enemies can use verticality against you. We can also now pick up Deku seeds from the ground. We can get these from enemy drops or from grass, and they're small, hard seeds you can use as bullets for your slingshot. Pretty much, very important item to have, and I almost forgot, there's a treasure in here. Is there? Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Well, there's apparently a chest in here, don't want to forget that. Oh, here we go. Didn't even see that. Crafty game. To think a game from 1998 is still fooling me all these years later. Well, I suppose it's not that hard to fool me. I mean, I was born in 98, so it makes sense that I wouldn't know everything about this game. Alright, let's get out of here, though. For now, we actually want to head back up to the top of the Great Deku Tree, because we actually need to be at the very tip top in order to progress. So I will see you back up there in just a moment. One thing about the fairy slingshot as well, it can completely destroy great skull Walchulas. It'll knock them off, and you can easily traverse without issue. Now, it's worth noting, Fairy Slingshot is not as powerful as the sword attack. It'll take 1 or 2 volleys in order to take down bigger enemies like the Skulltula here. Keep that in mind. Otherwise, it's a pretty effective weapon. But if you're gonna do close-up damage, you might as well just use the lunge attack. Because it's just effective. But for now, you want to line up with that heart in the middle. Why are we doing this? Because we're going for a big jump! And we're gonna break the spider web. And fall into the water below. Now we're in the abyss. Unfortunately, I think we actually are sitting in his stomach acid. Ew. We got a gold Skulltula here. We can shoot it a few times. We're gonna actually need to come back for that. But there is a second one right here. This one we don't have to hesitate on. We just climb up to grab it. There we go, that's 2. Oh god, I'm not looking forward to getting all these. I've never actually gotten all 100 Skulltulas before, because if you know Ocarina of Time, you know what the rewards are for gold Skulltulas, and let's just say the ultimate reward for getting all 100 of them is not exactly worth it. I guess that's a running theme with 3D Zeldas that was started by this game. Now you'll notice, cobwebs block access to this door. Kind of an issue for us that we don't really have a way to solve. What we can do is step on this. And in doing so, it lights that torch, which destroys those webs. And if you saw from earlier, we can use the Deku stick to, well, light the torch. Get that recovery heart. And I believe we might be able to jump for this. Yes! Okay, there we go, that's 3. And again, you can also pull out your sword mid-jump for a little bit of extra distance. Not much, but a little bit. Now let's take out that Deku stick and light it ablaze. This stick will not last forever if we do this, so be careful. Also, make sure you don't fall in the water or the fire will go out. And we can burn the cobwebs. Nice. Nothing else we can do in this room, so let's head on. Another Deku scrub. Thinks he's better than me. Let's establish dominance. Please forgive me, Master. I'll never do it again. If you spare me, I'll teach you something cool. You'll never beat my brothers up head unless you punish them in the proper order. The order is 2, 3, 1. 23 is number 1. You think I'm a traitor? Yes. Funnily enough, 23 is number 1 is a running joke across multiple Nintendo games in that if there's a 3-digit combination and it's 3 different numbers, it's often 2, 3, 1 is the combination. I don't know why, they've just kept that joke for the entire game. Now we got this eye marker on the wall. Shoot it with a Deku seed. It will close, and it'll open the door. Very important to keep that in mind. Anytime you see an eye symbol like that, shoot it. Because as you know, the solution to any eye is to stab it with something. Ugh. After you get into the water, you can hold down A. You can dive. If you hold down L while underwater, you can change your view. I bet there's some interesting things down there. Well, let's see what they're talking about. Well, I see a button. That's helpful. Yeah, I think we're probably going to want to get that button. Because by the looks of it, this is not exactly the most ideal situation for Lunk here. There we go. Now by pressing that, we actually lower the water level slightly. Which allows us to safely pass underneath this spike roller. Missed it. Oh, fuck. Come on. Don't let me down. Okay, wow, I've never had to take this long for this, sorry. Hold down R to crouch and you won't get hurt by the spikes. And jump to make it. Got another Skulltula, but nothing we can't handle by now because, again, jump attack. Try not to misplace that attack, though, because if you do, you will pay for it. Because if you just run head first into them, they will spin around and knock you around. Stand next to this block and grab hold of it with A. While holding A, you can push it or pull it. If you stand next to the block and press A while pressing control stick towards the block, you can climb on top of it. Pay attention to what the action icon says. Now that is true. Note how it says grab, but if we walk towards it for a second, it changes to climb. Very important to know. For now, let's push this block. And while we're doing this, I should bring up... I know a lot of people like to talk shit about Navi in this game, and yeah, she can be a bit of a nuisance at times if you're just trying to get a move on. But I think it's important to note that she was a character from 30 years ago. Oh god, that's weird to say. Oh! Well, actually, no, it's more like 25 at this point. 25 years ago. And it's also worth noting, this is actually kind of a useful feature if you ever get lost in the story and like put the game down for a while and come back. Because Navi will always give you a reminder in the story on where you're supposed to go. which I think is quite helpful. Yes, she gets annoying at times, but she's also your enemy guide, which is quite helpful. Because not every Zelda game gives you a tip on how to fight every enemy, and I think it's a quite nice feature about Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask. Open that door up just fine. We could deal with that other Deku Baba, but I already lost track of where he was, so I don't care. Oh, damn it. Ow! Now I got sent flying by you, but that's fine. Could just take care of you that way. Now, one thing we need to do is look up. You'll see these weird, pulsating masses. Shoot them. Because if you don't shoot them, you might regret it later. Because if you run under them, they'll drop this. Goma larva. Look out for when it gets ready to pounce. Its eye will glow red and it will jump at you. You can stab it or you can shoot it. Either one works. And it'll thankfully die not long after, but god, those things are gross. Alright, we got fire, we got spider webs. I think you know what we're supposed to do here. Now we can like this, but we kind of can't do anything over here. Because that's a solid rock wall. And no matter how hard our sword strikes, we're not going to break that. Which actually means there's something to get later. We have to come back to this dungeon if we want to get everything, which is kind of nuts. But for now, let's head over this way. Alright. And we can walk through here. Cross back over the other side and get a weird pop in. That was weird. I was like, I've actually seen that before. Flip the camera around and we got another big circle spot. But we don't have a great height we can drop from, so that's a bit of a problem. Like, I don't see any hole in the ceiling from this one. Deal with the Deku Babas. Might as well. What we do have is a block. Let's push it. Blocks are never really an issue in this game because, hey, they're clearly marked on what they are. I believe the symbol is actually different in the original N64 version. I believe it actually might have been changed for cultural purposes. I'm not 100% on that, but if future me can correct me on this, I would appreciate it. I want to say it was a Islamic symbol. I'm not 100%. I just know it was a religious symbol, and they realized immediately afterwards, oops. So they had to fix that. Dodge roll with this to light the ground on fire. That's how you do it. And we'll fall down even further into the water. Now there's some recovery hearts in here, but we don't really need to worry about those. And these are the Deku scrubs that one scrub mentioned. Remember the order. 23 is number 1. Ow. So they will freeze in place if you hit them correctly. Hit the wrong one, they will actually all scatter. This one is going to try and run. I'm gonna... Oh, nope. Ah. Goddamn, I'm bad at this. Luckily, his brothers will stay pinned, so that's not an issue. How did you know our secret? How irritating. It's so annoying, I'm gonna reveal the secret of Queen Goma to you. What? In order to administer the coup de grace to Queen Goma, strike with your sword when she's stunned. Oh, Queenie. Sorry about that. I don't think you were sorry about that if you're just gonna admit the weakness of your queen. That's kind of rude, actually. But yeah, they all scatter, and right up here, as you can see from the symbol on the bottom screen, is the boss. Let's see what it's got. Kind of like the atmosphere here. Like, Ocarina of Time is a really good soundtrack, but I like the atmospheric pieces are some of my favorites. Now we can hear movement, but we don't see anything except for stuff falling from below. So go into first person, in my case with a slingshot, and look up. There it is. Parasitic Armored Arachnid, Goma! This is the boss of the inside the Deku Tree. Navi, what do you got? It's one of the parasitic monsters inside the Deku Tree. Its eye is vulnerable when it's red. Shoot it! And you will stun it. Jump attack. Jump attack. And jump attack. Unfortunately, we didn't finish it. You can actually kill this boss extremely quickly if you know what you're doing. Like, 15 seconds is nothing. For now, it'll head to the ceiling, though, because we took too long. If you let it, it will actually spawn a Goma larva. But if you shoot it, you can actually knock it clean down. Do a few more jump attacks. And it's dead. extremely easy first boss, but it only makes sense. It's the first boss. It's a warm-up. And note a portal of light over there, but more importantly, we have this. Everyone's favorite item. The heart container. Your maximum life energy is increased by 1 heart. Your life energy will be totally refilled. You can get a lot of health in this game, and there's a lot of ways to do it, so that's going to be fun to do. For now, though, let's step in here. Well done, Sub-Zero. I forgot to close my mouth. Thou hast verily demonstrated thy courage. I knew that thou wouldst be able to carry out my wishes. Now I have yet more to tell thee. Wouldst thou listen? I don't actually know what happens if you say no. I'm gonna go for it. No! No, Sub-Zero. Thou must know. My time is short. Oh, he tells you anyway, of course. Now listen carefully. A wicked man of the desert cast this dreadful curse upon me. This evil man ceaselessly uses his vile, sorcerous powers in his search for the sacred realm that is connected to Hyrule. For it is in that sacred realm that one will find the divine relic, the Triforce, which contains the essence of the gods. Before time began, before spirits and life existed, 3 golden goddesses descended upon the chaos that was Hyrule. Din, the goddess of power. Nehru, the goddess of wisdom. Faror, the goddess of courage. Din. With her strong flaming arms, she cultivated the land and created the Red Earth. Nehru poured her wisdom onto the earth and gave the spirit of law to the world. Faror, with her rich soul, produced all life forms who would uphold the law. The 3 great goddesses, their labors completed, departed for the heavens. And golden sacred triangles remained at the point where the goddesses left the world. Since then, the sacred triangles have become the basis for our world's providence. And the resting place of the triangles has become the sacred realm. Thou must never allow the desert man in black armor to lay his hands on the sacred Triforce. Thou must never suffer that man, with his evil heart, to enter the sacred realm of legend. That evil man who cast the death curse upon me and sapped my— Say, what are you doing sitting down? Stand back up, this is important! And sap my power. Because of that curse, my end is nigh. Though your valiant efforts to break the curse were successful, I was doomed before you started. Yes, I will pass away soon, but do not grieve for me. I'm already dead. I have been able to tell you of these important matters. This is Hyrule's final hope. Sub-Zero, go now to Hyrule Castle. There thou will surely meet the Princess of Destiny. Her name is not Destiny, for the record, just to be clear. Take this stone with thee, the stone that man wanted so much he cast the curse upon me. That still looks really nice for 3DS standards. It's just a good-ass gemstone. You got the Kokiri's Emerald. This is the spiritual stone of the forest, now entrusted to you by the great Deku tree. The future depends upon thee, Sub-Zero. Thou art courageous. Shouldst thou ever lose thy way, seek a vision of the path from the Sheikah stone that stands beside thy home. Navi the fairy, help him carry out my will. I entreat thee, Navi. Goodbye. Let's go to Hyrule Castle. Goodbye, great Deku tree.